Well, I just finished cutting the slab on for this piece of basswood. And for that I used that Haddon lumber maker. But now I've got a flat side. So I'm going to get the tractor over here and lift this and set it so this side is up. Square off the other two sides. And then I'm going to start using that Alaskan mill. I'm going to try that on the basswood. You know, it works. I'm used to using this Haddon, and I like that, but I'm trying to get boards for a certain project out of this basswood. And it's kind of funny. You know, basswood is a soft wood. And it cuts fairly easy if you have the right chain. What I'm using is a rip chain, but I actually have to make a modification to it and grind down these guides a little bit so it takes a little bit more of a bite. Because I found when you're working in really soft wood, which is what basswood is, what'll happen is it's such fuzzy kind of stuff, it doesn't want to cut cleanly. It wants to kind of clog up. So it actually, for an easy cut wood, it cuts relatively slow. But since it's soft, I can cut them guides down a bit, let it take a little bit more of a bite. It's actually easier on the chain because what happens is the chain running against the soft stuff, it tends to roll that edge over more than it does in hardwood. You know, it's funny, but it's just that way. It's like, if you have fresh bread, it's very hard to cut with a straight knife. You can use a saw type knife and it'll cut. Whereas bread that's been sitting around a day or two, you can cut with just a straight flat blade. You know, it's just a difference in that. It's just too soft the wood to cut good without taking a bigger chunk. So that's what I'll do. I'll grind them down just a little bit, you know, just that guide. And I'll probably touch up the cutters with the file because, like I say, it tends to want to roll the edge over. But I thought I'd show you. I'm starting, you know, I want to make a bunch of boards about a foot wide. I'll cut them about 3/4 and then I'll plane them down to half. But it's for a certain project I got in mind. But one thing I was going to mention, I was trying to catch it all morning here. And I was hoping sometime now, when I'm doing this video, you'd hear it. But I've got a lot of birds around here, and I've got a lot of these little woodpeckers. Now, they're a funny bird in that they try to establish their territory. That's why you'll hear them hammering on stuff. They try to find like a really dead piece of wood or a hollow log. Or in this case, there's one that's been banging on the stovepipe because it makes a good sound. It makes an impressive sound, and that's what they're looking for. But I've got one that keeps hammering on this bat house I put up. But it's because it's a, you know, square, hollow. It's just perfect acoustically. You can make a nice sound out of it. So he drums on that thing all the time. And the bats have never moved into it. They can't stand to be in there when they got them woodpeckers banging on there all day. You know, bats gotta sleep sometime. So bats won't live in there, but them woodpeckers love it just for making that sound. But I was tormenting them earlier. I was taking a stick and pounding on a piece of wood, and then you'd hear another one would answer, and another one. You know, there's a certain range that they have, and they're pretty particular about what's going on in their area, you know, as far as with other woodpeckers. So they really patrol their certain little area. And they're small, you know, they're not a very big. I've got some of the big woodpeckers, but these are the small ones. But they're funny. But I know years ago, it startled me the one time, first time I heard that, when I first moved up here. One got on the stovepipe, just when the sun was coming up, and started hammering. And I couldn't figure out what in the world was doing that. So it doesn't make any sense. You think, woodpecker, yeah, they're going after insects. Nah, they're just doing it for effect. But it sounded like somebody with a jackhammer on there. But they like to find, like I've got a big, like a 250-gallon fuel barrel over there that's empty, so they like to hammer on that too because they can get a good sound out of it. But it's anything that they can get good sound makes them sound like a bigger bird, and that means a bigger range. But I'll see if I can catch that one. But he's suspicious because I was toying with him, the one that keeps hammering on that bat house. But he could get quite a sound out of it. I was thinking if a guy had an old guitar like that the neck broke on it or something, or an old bongo drum, hang that in a tree, they'd have a heck of a time with that. Anything that would make good sound, that's what they're after.